These are two introductory comments about this week's reading, The Catholic School. A preview, then this week's discussion question. First, the preview. The document was published in 1977 by the Sacred Congregation for Catholic Education from the Vatican. It follows up and develops the 1965 Vatican II document, Gravissimum Educationis. It's a foundation for later documents, too. Here are some of the main perspectives as I see them. First one, the Catholic school is an instrument of the Church's mission. This document continues the Church's engagement in Vatican II with what is valuable and where God is present in the modern world. It is in dialogue with that world, working for full human development. It looks for what is valuable in human cultures. It sees the Catholic school as an instrument for its mission in this cultural development and leading it to its fulfillment in Christ. Number two, the document recognizes the challenges of Catholic schools and of all schools. Besides the complex multiplicity of cultural and other settings, the document recognizes that persons face a world in which there's mass production spinning off from a scientific mentality, as well as materialism, pragmatism, technocracy, and depersonalization. Number three, Catholic schools support all genuine schools. The document says that Catholic schools are necessary to support the role of all schools to defend students from the threats just named a moment ago, to help them form the students' minds, consciences, freedom, and virtues to steer their way through to becoming authentic persons. The document asks Catholic schools to not be a source of division, but rather to work in collaboration with other schools in their common pursuit of a critical engagement with the culture, an engagement for truth, and to support the rights of parents to the kinds of schools that they want. It rejects using Catholic schools for proselytism. It respects the proper autonomy of each discipline as its own path to truth. It sees every authentic teacher committed to their subject as on the road to truth, capital T. It rejects using subjects as a form of religious apologetics. It encourages a discovery approach to learning and not just memorizing of pre-cooked concepts. It encourages engagement with science as a road to truth. It sees a committed school staff sharing a common set of values and in good relationships with each other, their students and families, as what makes schools work. Schools are communities. It says we need Catholic schools to protect all education in its humanizing work, to protect it and individuals from pragmatism, materialism, a mass production mentality, from technocracy, and depersonalization. Number four, Catholic schools need an institutional presence in the big world. A few years back, I saw, sadly, attempts to wall off Catholic university education from the rest of the university world. Instead, listen to what the document calls for in number 62. Society can take note from the Catholic school that it is possible to create true communities out of a common effort for the common good. In the pluralistic society of today, the Catholic school, moreover, by maintaining an institutional Christian presence in the academic world, proclaims by its very existence the enriching power of faith as the answer. Number 5. Catholic schools are needed as community centers to bring faith to culture and to life. First, listen to these statements defining Catholic schools from the document itself. Number 8, she, the Church, establishes her own schools because she considers them as a privileged means of promoting the formation of the whole man or person, since the school is a center in which a specific concept of the world, of man, and of history is developed and conveyed. Then, number 26, the school is a place of the integral formation by means of a systematic and critical assimilation of culture. Then number 31, the school is an institution where young people gradually learn to open themselves up to life as it is and to create in themselves a definite attitude to life as it should be. Finally, number 49. The specific mission of the school, then, is a critical, systematic transmission of culture in the light of faith and the bringing forth of the power of Christian virtue by the integration of culture with faith and of faith with living. Catholic schools are not there to entrench the rich in their power. They are there especially for those who are poor and in need. Number 6, Catholic schools bring faith to culture. Catholic schools bring faith to culture through the subjects that are taught, as mentioned above, each with its own autonomy. It is the teacher, the servant of truth, who enables the subjects to become an encounter with truth for the students, truth with a capital T. Finally, number 7, Catholic schools bring faith to life. They do this through the relationships and community in the school and through the development of virtues, Christian virtues modeled by Christ. The Christian spirit permeates the school experience and climate and is absorbed almost by osmosis. This growth in the student is lifelong, and it takes a lot of patience. Critical people need to take their foot off the criticism pedal of complaining that the students aren't progressing enough in their faith. And it is not easy to measure this growth. See number 84. This whole process leads students to feel their dignity and to recognize their mission to serve the world. So those are some perspectives that I've noted in my reading of the document. My second comment concerns the discussion postings for this week. Here's a scenario that might help. Imagine that you've set aside a staff day to set faith goals for your school for the coming year or years. Your base document is the one we've been looking at, the Catholic School. So give people a chance to read a section of it. So imagine selecting a part of the document for your staff, as I mentioned, to focus on. And from it, extract a characteristic of a Catholic school that you want your school to grow in. And here's the discussion part of it. Once you've selected that characteristic that you'd like your school to grow in, develop some criteria to know if you are reaching that goal or not. And to give you an example of what I'm talking about, there are multiple instruments like this, but here's one of them that I ran into a few years ago. It's by John Bradley Kostoff, called Auditing Our Catholic Schools. and he calls it a process of discernment, discussion, and action. Well, in the book, he lists in the index some 28 different characteristics of what happens in a functioning Catholic school. For example, there's a Catholic culture, number 1. Number 2, there's a pastoral plan. Number 3, there's a faculty and faculty handbook inspired by faith. Number 4, there's adult faith formation. Number 5, there's theological development of staff. And you can see that this goes all the way through to number 28. For example, let's take 25, ethnic diversity. Number 26, special education. Number 27, ecological stewardship. And number 28, locally developed expectations. Now, each of these areas, the author bases them on documents like the Catholic School that describe what a Catholic school should be. And so for each of them, what the author has done is develop, call it a rubric or some indications that particular characteristic is being developed. So, for example, if you go to the first one here, an explicit Catholic culture manifested every day in many ways. Well, you see that he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different signs that might be happening, and you rate each of them. So, for example, the liturgical year, Advent, Lent, Easter, is respected and celebrated. And so you rated 1 to 6. And on the bottom, there's an action plan, if needed and resources allow. Or if you go a step further, outcome expectation, a pastoral plan. There's a pastoral plan for the school. And again, 5 items this time that would indicate, you have a pastoral plan that's functioning. For example, the first item is a pastoral plan developed by a pastoral team that includes the principal, chaplaincy leaders, staff representatives, and a parish representative. Now, you might agree or disagree with the characteristics that he's enumerating and the rubric or criteria by which he's measuring whether or not this is really happening. But the exercise this week is, as mentioned, pick a section from the Catholic school and extract from it a characteristic that should be happening at a Catholic school and develop a few criteria to measure or to achieve that, along the lines perhaps of what I've manifested here. Hopefully that's clear enough, and good luck. This should be interesting.